The year was 2157. Humanity had seen many disasters but never one like this. The Luna Base Observatory floated above the moon's gray surface, quiet, cold, and full of the faint hum of machines. The silver walls glowed softly with blue light, the reflection of computer screens showing endless lines of data. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, one of Earth's best scientists, stood alone by the giant telescope window. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Her eyes were red, but her hands were steady. Through the lens she could see it, the asteroid. A dark shape against the black sea of stars. 3 kilometers wide. Moving straight toward Earth. Her screen blinked red. Impact in 47 days. Elena whispered, barely a sound. That will end everything. Behind her, her assistant Marcus typed fast, scanning numbers. His voice was heavy, flat. The defense fleet tried again. The nuclear missiles did nothing. Mars laser array slowed it down by 3 hours. That's all. He looked up, face pale. Even Mars command says it's over. Silence filled the observatory. Only the hum of the machines remained. On Earth, panic spread like fire. Evacuation ships stood ready, sleek and shining, but they could carry only a few million. 8 billion souls lived below. News screens showed children watching the darkening sky. Families packed what they could. Some prayed. Some cursed the stars. Back on Luna Base, Elena stared at the blue planet. We built cities on Mars, she said softly. We reached the stars. But we still can't save our home. Marcus didn't answer. He just kept watching the radar. Then high voltage, a sharp beep. 1, 2, 3 times. A signal deep and strong. Marcus frowned. That's impossible. Elena turned to him. What is it? He zoomed in on the deep space scanner. 3 objects glowed faintly on the edge of the solar system. They're moving fast, he said. Really fast. Asteroids? Elena asked. No. Their path is controlled. They're changing direction. They're flying in formation. Elena's heart skipped. Then they're ships. Marcus whispered. But not ours. Within hours, the news spread across every colony, every planet, every screen. Unidentified ships entering solar space. Possible alien contact. Are they here to help, or to end us? Governments panicked. Religious leaders called it the judgment of the gods. Millions watched the sky, waiting. The 3 ships grew larger as they neared Earth. They were massive, each 5 kilometers long, shaped not like human warships but like living sculptures. Smooth silver curves, flowing lines, glowing patterns across their hulls. They shimmered as if made of liquid light. When they entered orbit, all Earth's satellites went silent for 10 seconds. Then a voice spoke, calm, clear, in perfect English. We are the Qurani. We know of your danger. We wish to help. The words echoed through every speaker, every screen. At United Earth Command in Geneva, President Lien Chin sat in an emergency meeting. Around her, the leaders of Mars, Luna, and the major nations argued loudly. It's a trick, shouted the Russian delegate. They want to invade. Or maybe they're the only ones who can save us, the Indian representative replied. Can we trust them? Someone asked. Can we afford not to? President Chin said quietly. The room fell silent. Everyone knew the truth. In 45 days Earth would die. The Qurani asked for a meeting. One of their ambassadors would come to Earth. The next morning, people across the world watched the skies. A silver light broke through the clouds, descending slowly toward Lake Geneva. There was no fire, no sound, just a ripple on the water as the alien shuttle landed. From it stepped Ambassador Thelnara. She looked almost human, tall, thin, graceful. Her skin glowed faint blue, her eyes bright silver like liquid mercury. She wore a simple white robe that shimmered like starlight. Reporters gasped. Cameras clicked. She spoke softly, her voice like wine through glass. We are the Qurani. We have come to save your world. Inside the Great Council Hall, she met President Chin. Chin extended a hand. Thelnara took it gently, her skin was warm, alive. Can you really stop the asteroid? Chin asked. Yes, Thelnara said. We have the technology. But... She looked down for a moment as if choosing her words. It will cost us dearly. How? Our shield generators are ancient. They are the last of their kind. If we use them to stop your asteroid, they will burn out, and my people will lose the protection of our homeworlds. The room went silent. You'd be sacrificing your own people to save ours? Thelnara nodded slowly. We have lived for 10,000 years among the stars. Our time is fading. Yours has just begun. It would be wrong to let it end so soon. President Chin lowered her head. Why would you help us? Thelnara smiled faintly. Because once long ago your kind helped us. And we never forgot. Outside the world waited. 3 silver ships moved between Earth and the dark asteroid. Their hulls glowed brighter and brighter until even the night sky turned white. Elena watched from Luna Base, tears in her eyes. They're really doing it, she whispered. Marcus nodded slowly. Let's hope it works. The screen filled with light, beautiful, endless, blinding. The asteroid shattered into dust and flame. Across Earth's skies, millions watched glowing streaks of light rain down, the rain of fire. Humanity was saved. But in that same moment, on the far edge of the solar system, the Kurani ships flickered. Their engines dimmed. Their shields burned out. And Thelnara whispered, unheard, "Let this be our final gift." The world cheered. For the first time in months, people laughed again. The asteroid that was supposed to end all life had been broken into 1,000 shining fragments. Across the night sky, fire rained down like falling stars. The oceans glowed, and the air shimmered with light. Children pointed upward in wonder. Soldiers on guard towers dropped their weapons just to watch. And on Luna Base, Dr. Elena Rodriguez whispered softly, "It's beautiful." But Marcus, her assistant, didn't smile. He stared at the readings on his screen: energy spikes, radiation bursts, unstable waves. Something wasn't right. "Elena, look at this. The Kurani ships, their power output is collapsing." Elena frowned. "That can't be. They said their shield generators were strong enough." Marcus shook his head. "They were. But look, the energy drain, it's eating them alive." Scene 1, The Price of Salvation. In orbit, the 3 Kurani ships burned like suns. Their silver hulls cracked, glowing red from within. The asteroid was gone, shattered into dust, but the alien vessels were dying. Inside the flagship Oriole, Ambassador Thelnara stood on the command deck. Her crew looked frightened but calm. The Kurani were old, disciplined, ready for death. "Status?" she asked quietly. "Shield Generator 3 is failing," replied her second officer. "The field is unstable. We can't hold formation much longer." "Continue the pulse," she said. "The humans must survive." The deck shook. Sparks flew. The lights dimmed. One of the 3 ships, Varen's Hope, exploded in silence. Just a burst of white light and then nothing. Thelnara closed her eyes. "Goodbye, my friends." Her voice trembled, but she stood tall. Scene 2, Earth watches. On Earth, the people didn't understand what they were seeing. The skies filled with beautiful colors: pink, silver, blue. People cheered and recorded the lights with their phones. President Lien Chin stood in the command center watching live feeds. Her advisors clapped and hugged. "They did it, Madam President. We're saved." But Chin didn't smile. She looked at the radar. One of the Kurani ships had vanished. Another was falling from orbit. "No," she whispered. "Something's wrong." A communications officer shouted. "We're getting a message. It's weak. It's from Thelnara's ship." Static filled the room, then a faint, broken voice. "This is Thelnara. Earth is safe. Our power, fading. Do not forget us." The signal died. Chin stood still. Her hands shook. "Get them help. Now." "We can't," an officer said. "Their systems are beyond our reach. They're burning out." Scene 3, The Fall. In orbit, the Oriole drifted toward the blue curve of Earth. Its engines flickered, then went dark. Thelnara walked to the viewing window. The planet below looked peaceful, glowing with life. "We did it," she said softly. "Humanity will live." Her first officer knelt beside her. "Our shields are gone. The core is unstable." "Then we die with honor," Thelnara replied. "Record this message." He nodded and pressed the console. "To the people of Earth, we give our lives so that you may live. Protect what we saved." Moments later, a flash of light filled the cabin. The ship broke apart, half burned in the atmosphere, half drifted into the ocean near the coast of Africa. Scene 4, The Aftermath. For 3 days, the skies of Earth glowed with falling debris. People called it the rain of fire. No one slept. No one forgot. The Kurani ships were gone, but Earth still stood. In every nation there were ceremonies, prayers, and songs for the alien saviors. Children learned their names in school. Statues were built, tall silver figures reaching toward the sky. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood outside the observatory, watching the meteor trails fade. "They gave up everything," she said. Marcus nodded. "And we can't even thank them." He pointed to a screen, the last Kurani signal replaying again and again. "Do not forget us." Scene 5, The Lost Signal. A week later, deep space stations caught a faint transmission. A single line of Qurani code looping endlessly. It came from far beyond Mars, near the edge of the solar system. Could it be a distress beacon? Marcus asked. Elena looked at the data. Or maybe, a survivor. She sent the recording to Earth Command. But the message was too weak to decode. It vanished soon after, lost to the static of space. Still, something about it haunted her. Late that night, she stood alone by the window, staring at the stars. They saved us, she whispered. But, what if they're not gone? The stars outside flickered, or maybe it was just her tired eyes. Scene 6, The Promise. President Chin visited the Qurani Memorial Site, a great silver monument beside the ocean where the alien ship had crashed. The waves glowed faintly from the strange metals in the wreckage. Scientists said it would take years to study the technology left behind. Chin placed a small plaque at the base of the monument. Read, "To the Qurani, the first to believe in us." She looked up at the sky and whispered, "We will never forget." But far above, beyond the range of human scanners, something else moved. A single silver shape drifting slowly through the dark. Inside it, faint lights blinked. A heartbeat. A pulse. And in the shadows, a soft voice whispered, "They live. Then so will we." 10 years had passed since the Rain of Fire. The asteroid was long forgotten. The fear, the panic, all turned into stories people told their children. Earth was alive, brighter than ever before. The scars on the planet had healed. The cities were rebuilt, shining with clean energy, new towers and skies filled with shuttles. Humanity had learned something from the Qurani, not just their technology but their unity. For the first time in history there were no wars on Earth. The United Earth government had grown powerful, peaceful and proud. And yet, behind the celebrations and speeches, some wondered if humanity had forgotten the promise they made, "We will never forget." Scene 1, The New Age. Dr. Elena Rodriguez still worked at the Luna Observatory. Her hair was gray now, but her mind was sharp. She had become one of the most respected scientists in the solar system. From the observatory window, she watched Earth, glowing blue and alive. In the distance, giant orbital rings circled the planet, full of factories and stations. Marcus, older but still loyal, entered the lab with a grin. "New transmission from Mars Command," he said. "They finished the first fusion gate. Travel to Jupiter will take hours, not months." Elena smiled faintly. "We keep reaching farther." The Qurani would have been proud. Marcus nodded. "Yeah, proud." He hesitated, then added quietly, "It's strange though. We built all this using the Qurani tech we found in their wreckage. But we never really understood how it worked." Elena looked down. "Their sacrifice gave us a gift we can barely control." The room fell silent. The hum of the observatory filled the air. Then a soft beep. Marcus frowned. "That's not one of our signals." Scene 2, The Signal. The monitor flickered. Lines of alien code flashed across the screen, familiar but old. Elena's heart skipped. "Marcus, this is Qurani language." He checked the data again. "Impossible. Their ships were destroyed." "It's real," Elena said. "The pattern, it's a distress call." They played the audio. A soft, distant hum filled the room, like music underwater. Then a faint voice. "This is Thelnara, survivors, need aid." The voice broke, distorted by static, but the name was clear. "Thelnara." Elena whispered, "She's alive." Scene 3, The Debate. Within hours, the message reached Earth Command. President Lien Chin, older now, stood before her new council. Younger officers, sharper minds, colder hearts. They played the message again. The static-filled voice echoed through the room. "This is Thelnara, survivors, need aid." One of the generals crossed his arms. "It's a trick. It's been 10 years. If they were alive, they would have contacted us earlier." Another spoke quietly. "Even if it's true, the Qurani are finished. Their technology is dying. What could we even do for them?" Elena was invited to speak. She stood before the council and said, "We owe them everything. Without them we wouldn't exist. We must answer." The room was divided. President Chen looked tired. "Send a small expedition," she said finally. "No weapons. No armies. Just find out the truth." Scene 4, The Journey. 3 ships were prepared, fast, silent explorers named Hope, Endurance and Aurora. They used the same Qurani-derived engines that now powered human civilization. The fleet launched from Mars, cutting across the solar system in beams of light. Elena and Marcus joined the mission, though both were now older than most of the crew. They sat in the observation bay watching the stars slide by. It feels like déjà vu, Marcus said. Yes, Elena replied. 10 years ago they came to us. Now we go to them. Scene 5, the ruins. After weeks of travel they reached the edge of the Kurani system. The sight left everyone silent. The Kurani homeworld, once described as beautiful and shining, now hung in space like a corpse. Its oceans were gray. Its cities were dark. Only a few lights flickered across the surface. The ships descended slowly through the atmosphere. They landed near what was once a great city, now buried in ash and silence. Elena stepped out first. The ground was cracked and cold. The air was thin, metallic. In the distance something moved. Life signs, Marcus whispered. A group of tall, thin figures approached, Kurani survivors. Their once bright blue skin was pale and dull. Their silver eyes were dim. One of them stepped forward, limping, covered in scars. Her voice trembled but carried across the air. You came? Elena froze. Thelnara? The alien nodded slowly. We waited, for so long. Scene 6, the Broken Alliance. Inside the ruined city, the Kurani survivors told their story. When the asteroid was destroyed, their shield generators burned out. Their colonies fell one by one, attacked by radiation, storms, and hunger. They had sent messages to Earth, but none were answered. We gave you our technology, Thelnara said, her voice weak. We saved your home. But when we called for help, you turned away. Elena shook her head. No, we didn't know. We never received. You used our machines, Thelnara interrupted bitterly. You built your cities with the bones of our ships. You lived, while we died. The human crew stood in silence. No one could answer. Marcus whispered, They think we abandoned them. Thelnara looked up at the sky, where human ships hovered like silver arrows. Perhaps we were wrong to save you. Her voice broke. The galaxy was right to fear what you would become. Scene 7, the cold return. Back aboard the Aurora, the humans argued about what to do. Some wanted to help the Kurani rebuild. Others said it was too dangerous. The Kurani might attack if they felt betrayed. Elena pleaded, They saved us. We cannot leave them here. But command from Earth sent a message. Do not interfere. Record data only. Return home. Elena stared at the order in disbelief. They're abandoning them again. Marcus whispered, Maybe that's what we've become now. As the human ships prepared to leave orbit, Thelnara stood on the ground below, watching. Her silver eyes reflected the light of the engines as they disappeared into the dark. She spoke softly to no one. Once we saved them from death. Now we will show them what it feels like to lose everything. 10 days after the Luna transmission reached Earth, the world trembled with debate. Billions had seen the message, the voice of Thelnara, the alien who once saved humanity. People filled the streets holding banners that read, Help the Kurani. Honor the promise. But others whispered something darker. Why return to those who might destroy us? The leaders of Earth gathered once again, not in fear this time but in power. Humanity was no longer the weak species it once was. It had fleets, colonies, and weapons built from Kurani technology. And with power came pride. Scene 1, the Council's decision. In the Great Chamber of Earth Command, President Lien Chin stood at the center, her reflection shining in the black glass floor. Around her sat generals, admirals, and scientists. The lights were dim, the mood divided. We owe the Kurani our survival, said Dr. Elena Rodriguez, her voice calm but sharp. They saved Earth. We cannot forget that. General Voss, commander of the Interplanetary Defense Fleet, folded his arms. Respectfully, Doctor, we don't owe anyone. They gave us technology, yes. But now they accuse us of betrayal. That is not friendship. That's manipulation. Elena glared at him. They are dying. Do you not understand? They have lost their home, their people. Voss cut her off. And yet they still have the power to reach across space with signals. What else do they have? Weapons? Fleets? You think they forgot how to fight? The room fell into silence. President Chin sighed, her tone careful. We will send aid, but with protection. No mistakes this time. She turned to Voss. Assemble a fleet. Humanitarian first, military second. Voss smirked slightly. Understood. Elena lowered her head, realizing what protection truly meant, warships. Scene 2, the fleet departs. 3 weeks later, the Unity expedition fleet left Mars orbit, 50 ships in total. Half were cargo vessels carrying food, medicine, and machines. The other half were destroyers and heavy cruisers, each armed with plasma cannons and Kurani-derived shields. At the center of the formation flew the HSS Horizon, the flagship. On board, Elena and Marcus watched from the observation deck as Earth became smaller behind them. "Do you trust them?" Marcus asked quietly. "No," Elena replied. "But I trust the Kurani more than I trust our own fear." They watched the stars stretch into streaks of white as the fleet entered warp. Scene 3, Arrival at Kurani Prime. After weeks of silent travel, they reached the dead system again. Kurani Prime hung in darkness, its surface broken, its atmosphere thin and gray. But something was different this time. As the human fleet approached orbit, energy readings began to rise. Marcus frowned. "That's impossible. The planet was dead." "Not anymore," Elena said. "They've rebuilt something." Through the clouds, massive black towers rose from the surface, glowing faint blue. The Kurani had rebuilt their cities, but not as they were before. They were fortresses. Scene 4, Thelnara's Welcome. A message came through, clear and controlled. "Human fleet, this is Thelnara of the Kurani Ascendancy. State your purpose." Her voice was calm but colder than before. Elena stepped forward on the bridge. "We come to offer aid. Food, medicine, and reconstruction equipment." Pause. Then Thelnara replied. "Your ships carry weapons." General Voss on another screen spoke proudly. "Protection only. We mean no harm." Thelnara's silver eyes narrowed. "We remember your meaning of protection." The signal cut off. Moments later, sensors flared, dozens of unknown signatures appeared in orbit. Kurani ships, sleek and silent, rose from the dark side of the planet. They were smaller than the human cruisers but faster, powered by energy humanity never fully understood. "Weapons locking," shouted a lieutenant. "They're targeting us." Elena's heart froze. "No, this can't be happening." Scene 5, Fire in the Void. The first blast came without warning. A blue beam sliced through one of the cargo ships, turning it to light. Then chaos. Human destroyers opened fire, missiles streaking through the sky. Kurani vessels danced between the explosions, returning fire with blinding precision. The void burned white and blue. "Hold fire," Elena shouted over comms. "We came to help." But no one listened. Orders from command were clear: defend the fleet. Within minutes, 10 ships were gone. The Kurani didn't chase them. They simply forced the humans to flee. Voss's voice roared through the intercom. "Fall back. All ships retreat." "That's an order." The horizon filled with flame as the humans jumped out of orbit. Only 3 ships remained, including the Horizon. Scene 6, Thelnara's Message. The surviving human ships floated in silence, damaged smoke rising in zero gravity. Then a transmission, Thelnara again. Her face appeared, pale but steady. "We gave you life when you faced death. You repaid us with silence and greed." She paused, eyes burning faintly. "Now you come with weapons under the name of aid. Tell me, humans, how different are you now from those who once enslaved your own kind?" Elena tried to speak, but words failed her. Thelnara continued. "Do not return here again. If you do, the galaxy will remember that it was the Kurani who taught humanity to fear the dark." The transmission ended. Scene 7, The Aftermath. When the fleet limped home, Earth was silent. The images of burning ships and alien fire spread across every network. Some called the Kurani monsters. Others called them justified. Elena stood before the global media, tears in her eyes. "We came to help. We failed because we came with fear." But her words fell on deaf ears. Behind the scenes, military factories began working day and night. New warships were ordered. New weapons were built, stronger, faster, deadlier. And across the stars, in the ruins of their own world, the Kurani did the same. Narrator, final line. Once, they saved each other from extinction. Now, both prepared for a war that could end the stars themselves. Months had passed since the failed Unity expedition. Across Earth and the colonies, silence hung heavy. The people mourned the lost crews, sons, daughters, explorers who never returned. But soon, grief turned to anger. Every news channel played the same footage. Kurani ships firing first, human vessels burning in the black void. No one mentioned that humanity had arrived armed. They only remembered the fire. And fire was easy to answer with more fire. Scene 1, The Call for Vengeance. In the massive Earth Command Hall, President Lien Chin stood before a restless crowd. The chamber was filled with military leaders, senators, and media drones floating above the floor. Her voice was cold and clear. "We reached out in peace. The Kurani answered with war. Humanity will not be silent again. The audience erupted in applause. General Voss stood beside her, his uniform gleaming under the lights. He looked proud, powerful, but in his eyes burned something darker. "We have new technology," he announced. "Upgraded from Kurani designs. Stronger shields. Faster drives. Smarter weapons. We will never kneel again." Elena Rodriguez watched the speech on a screen from her Mars lab. Her heart sank. "This isn't defense," she whispered. "It's revenge." Marcus looked at her quietly. "You can't stop them now. The people want blood." Scene 2, Project Valiant. In orbit above Earth, construction stations worked day and night. New ships took shape, black, sharp-edged, armored with shimmering metal never seen before. The flagship was called Valiant, humanity's most powerful warship. Its reactor core pulsed with captured Kurani crystal energy, the same power once used to save Earth from the asteroid. But this time it was turned into a weapon. General Voss walked through the hangar, inspecting his creation. A scientist approached him nervously. "Sir, the Kurani energy is unstable. If it overloads, then we'll have one shot to end this war before it begins," Voss said flatly. He turned away, eyes locked on the stars. "They taught us how to save worlds. Now we'll teach them how humans win wars." Scene 3, The Message. On Luna Base, Elena worked alone in the observatory, the same one where she had first seen the Kurani ships years ago. She couldn't sleep. The night sky looked peaceful, but she knew better. Then a faint signal appeared on her screen. She frowned. It was encrypted in an old Kurani code. She activated the translator. The message was short. "Dr. Rodriguez, do not let them fire. We never wanted this. Thelnara." Elena froze. Thelnara was alive, watching. She rushed to contact Earth Command, but her calls were blocked. The system displayed a single warning. All communications restricted under Operation Dawnfire. She felt her stomach twist. Dawnfire was the war plan. Scene 4, The First Move. 3 human fleets launched within hours. Their destination, the edge of Kurani space, a dying red star surrounded by debris and shattered moons. Thelnara's people had retreated there after their last stand. No contact, no trade, no threat, only silence. But the humans didn't care. Silence could hide armies. Silence could hide danger. And so, humanity came, with engines that glowed white-hot and weapons that hummed with energy once meant for peace. The fleet commander's voice echoed through the intercom. "All ships, prepare for engagement. Priority target, Kurani defense stations. No survivors." The sky burned as missiles streaked forward. Blue fire met red. Space lit up like day. Scene 5, The Kurani Response. At first, the Kurani didn't fight back. Their ships held position, shields raised, almost defensive. Then, one by one, their towers on the planet began to glow. Marcus, watching from the horizon's bridge, gasped. "They're activating the old shields. The ones that saved Earth." But this time the shields didn't protect, they focused. Beams of white light erupted from the surface, piercing the sky. One human cruiser vanished instantly. Then another. Then 5. It wasn't war anymore. It was annihilation. Scene 6, Thelnara's Final Plea. Elena finally broke through the comm jammers and appeared on the Valiant's main screen. "Voss, stop this. The Kurani warned us. They don't want war." Voss glared at her from the command chair. "They fired first. We finish what they started." Thelnara's face appeared beside Elena's on the split feed, pale, calm, and sorrowful. "General Voss, humanity was once our hope. Do not make it our enemy." Voss leaned forward. "You made us weak. Now we are strong." Thelnara closed her eyes. "Then may your strength teach you the cost of forgetting mercy." The feed went dark. Scene 7, The First Shot. Inside the Valiant's core, the Kurani crystal pulsed brighter and brighter, unstable, screaming in energy waves. "Sir, containment is breaking. Fire the main cannon." Voss roared. A beam of pure light exploded from the Valiant, slicing through space. It hit the Kurani planet dead center. For 1 second, silence. Then the planet cracked open. Its crust shattered, glowing from within. The Kurani homeworld, what was left of it, began to die. Marcus whispered, "God help us." The explosion spread through the system like a wave of fire, swallowing everything. When the light faded, nothing remained. Scene 8, Aftermath. Back on Earth, people cheered. The headlines read, "Humanity victorious. Kurani threat eliminated." But not everyone celebrated. Elena watched the news in silence, her face pale. We just killed the ones who once saved us, she said softly. And now, the galaxy will remember. Because far beyond the destroyed system, other civilizations had been watching. They had seen the humans' power, and their rage. They whispered one word through the stars. Fear. Narrator, final lines. The Qurani saved humanity once. Humanity repaid them with fire. And now the galaxy trembled, knowing that mankind had taken its first shot. The year was 2160. 3 years had passed since the destruction of Qurani Prime. Humanity called it the Dawnfire victory. But among the stars it was called something else. The day the heavens burned. In the halls of Earth Command, metals glittered and speeches echoed. General Voss stood at the front of the stage, his face calm and proud as the crowd cheered. The galaxy will never threaten us again, he declared. Humanity is no longer prey, we are power. The people roared. But far away deep in the void the galaxy was watching, and whispering. The echo of that one battle had reached every corner of known space. And none of them were cheering. Scene 1, The Watchers. At the edge of the Andera Nebula, an alien council gathered. 7 species, each powerful, each ancient. Their holographic forms glowed in a circle above a black table. The Voth, a reptilian race, hissed first. The humans destroyed an entire world. Even we never went that far. The Aurelians, beings of living light, flickered sadly. They were warned. The Qurani gave them life and they repaid with death. Another voice spoke, low, heavy. The Threx Dominion's warlord leaned forward. Then perhaps they are worthy. The weak die. The strong survive. The chamber grew tense. Finally the oldest among them, the Elenai, gray-skinned and wise, said softly, You do not understand. Humans grow from guilt. They fight, they regret, and then they fight harder. They will not stop. The council fell silent. And one word passed through the stars that day, prepare. Scene 2, Elena's burden. On Mars, Dr. Elena Rodriguez lived in quiet exile. Her lab was small, her window faced the red desert. She no longer worked for Earth Command. The news called her a traitor for trying to stop the war. But in truth she had seen what others couldn't. The signal that came after the explosion. A faint transmission hidden in the static. We endure. We remember. We are coming. She played it every night. The same broken voice. Qurani, alive? Marcus entered, carrying a tablet. You're still listening to that ghost message? It's not a ghost, Elena whispered. They survived. Somewhere. Marcus frowned. And if they did? What then? Then humanity hasn't won anything. We've just started something we can't finish. Outside, a dust storm howled against the dome, like a warning. Scene 3, The Rumors of the Void. Across the colonies, strange things began to happen. Ships vanished near the edges of known space. Satellites went dark without reason. And some explorers swore they saw light in the dark, ships that shimmered blue like ghosts, then disappeared. One freighter returned from a mining belt near Vega with half its crew missing. The survivors spoke of a voice that filled the ship, whispering through every system. Debt must be paid. Earth Command called it superstition. General Voss called it nonsense. But deep down, everyone remembered, the Qurani were masters of energy and illusion. If they had survived, they could be anywhere. Scene 4, The Ghost Fleet. 3 months later, the HSS Horizon picked up a signal. Weak, distorted, but real. Marcus, now the Horizon's captain, stood on the bridge as the message decoded. We are the Qurani ascendancy. Humanity's fire reached our home, but not our hearts. We offer peace, once. The crew went silent. Marcus contacted Earth Command. General Voss appeared on the screen, smirking. Peace? After what they did to us? No, Captain. You will find them, and finish what I started. Marcus hesitated. Sir, they didn't attack us. We did. History disagrees, Voss said coldly. Now follow orders. Scene 5 returned to the ruins. The Horizon jumped to the remains of Qurani Prime. The once dead system glowed faintly, clouds of dust floating around a shattered planet. Then out of the mist shapes appeared. Dozens of Qurani ships, sleek and silent. But they didn't open fire. A single transmission came through. Thelnara's voice. Marcus, I remember you. I remember Elena. We offered peace once. You answered with fire. Will you answer differently this time? Marcus' voice trembled. We were wrong. Then prove it. The screen showed something impossible. A hidden station orbiting the broken world, glowing with energy. Inside lies a memory of the old Qurani. A choice. For you. For your kind. Scene 6, The Choice. Marcus and a small crew landed on the station. Inside they found what looked like a massive chamber of light, thousands of floating crystal spheres each pulsing softly. Elena appeared via remote link from Mars, guiding them. Those are Qurani consciousness cores. They stored themselves when the planet died. Marcus touched one sphere and saw visions. Thelnara, her people, their sacrifice for Earth. The asteroid. The shields. The moment humanity lived because they died. And then he saw Earth's fire falling on them. He saw their cities break apart. He heard their screams. When he came back to himself, he was crying. They remembered everything, he said softly. Even when they burned. Scene 7, The Final Transmission. Marcus activated his recorder and sent a message to Earth. General Voss, this is Captain Marcus Hale. I've seen the truth. The Qurani didn't die, we did. Everything that made us human died the day we fired that cannon. If you come here, if you attack again, they won't destroy us out of hate. They'll destroy us to protect the galaxy from what we've become. He sent the message and destroyed the transmitter. Then he turned to the Qurani. What do we do now? Thelnara appeared before him, her form glowing faintly. We rebuild. Together or apart. The choice is yours. Marcus looked up at the stars, thousands of them, cold and silent. Maybe it's time humanity learned how to listen. Closing scene, The Echo. Back on Earth, Elena received a final transmission, Marcus' voice fading in static. They're not gone. They're watching. They're waiting. Maybe this time we can repay our debt the right way. She looked at the stars through her window. One of them pulsed softly, a faint blue light like a heartbeat. She smiled sadly. Maybe that's their answer. The narrator's voice faded in. The Qurani once saved humanity. Humanity destroyed them. But in the ashes of war, both sides remembered something the galaxy had forgotten. Mercy. The stars shimmered as the screen faded to black.